Welcome to this presentation about the enrollment for core infrastructure, also known as ECI. My name is Jelle Kooi. In this presentation we will cover what ECI is all about, how to sell ECI, the ECI value proposition to our customers. I'll discuss the key program details, and I'll end with the go-dos, the call to action. ECI is part of the Enterprise Agreement family, which consists of 3 members. With the enrollment for the desktop, the customer can standardize his PCs on Windows and/or Office and/or CoreCal or eCal. With the enrollment for Application Platform or EAP, he can obtain products that are part of our application platform, such as SQL Server, BizTalk Server, Visual Studio and Expression. The third member, the one that we're discussing now, is the enrollment for core infrastructure, which does allow the customer to obtain Windows Server licenses and System Center Server licenses. And as such, it's a logical add-on for the enrollment for the desktop, which is providing client licenses. Through ECI, the customer can simplify the licensing of the entire infrastructure. That is because this agreement provides licenses for not only Windows Server, but also server management and identity and access management. These licenses are part of the System Center family and Forefront Endpoint Protection. It also makes it easier for you to make sure that you will be selling premium editions of Windows Server, as well as software assurance. And this is because it's easy to upsell to higher editions and because software assurance is always part of the agreement. ECI is providing 3 so-called core infrastructure server suites or SIS suites. And depending on the profile of the server, the customer will be choosing between those 3 suites. For a small server, he will choose, for example, the Standard Suite. For a larger server, he will choose between the Enterprise and Data Center Suite. The Standard Suite is based on Windows Server 2008 R2 Standard. It comes with standard server management licenses for System Center, such as System Center Configuration Manager and System Center Operations Manager. It includes protection by means of the Forefront Client Security Suite. Windows Server Standard comes with the right to also make use of 1 copy of Windows Server in a virtual operating system environment. As such, the SIS Standard Suite is great for servers where no virtualization happens and servers where only a single virtual machine is running. For larger servers, typically servers with 2 or more processors, we do recommend the SIS Enterprise Suite. It is based on Windows Server 2008 R2 Enterprise and SMSE, the Server Management Suite Enterprise. In one of the next slides I will be discussing System Center in the context of ECI in more detail. The third suite is called the SIS Data Center Suite. It is meant for highly virtualized servers, typically servers with more than 4 virtual machines. It is based on Windows Server 2008 R2 Data Center and includes SMSE, the System Center Server Management Suite Data Center. And in order to protect the contents of the hard disk of the server, it again includes Forefront Client Security. Customers should consider ECI because it provides these licenses at lower cost with less complexity. I'll be discussing both the complexity and the cost in the next few slides. Also, ECI provides great flexibility because customers can grow from SIS Standard to SIS Enterprise to SIS Data Center. Also, they do have the ability to move from Windows Server with SA or Windows Server and System Center with SA into ECI without having to buy their licenses again. So, a migration from, for example, Select or Select Plus to ECI is feasible. If you take a look at the individual components of ECI, you will see different licensing approaches. Windows Server is using the Server CAL approach in the Standard and Enterprise Edition, and the Processor plus CAL approach in the Data Center Edition. In contrast, System Center is using a per server approach in SMSE and per processor licensing in SMSD. In both cases, though, for both SMSE and SMSD, you must monitor the number of virtual machines that you will be managing, because a server management license is needed for each operating system environment. Forefront Client Security is using a per device subscription. So here you see a mix and match of several licensing approaches. In contrast, ECI is using per processor licensing across the board for all three suites. A key reason for choosing ECI instead of licensing the products as additional products in an enterprise agreement is pricing. Customers who obtain the SYS suites do receive a discount of about 20% as compared to the cost of the individual components. So, any customer who considers buying Windows Server, System Center and Forefront Client Security for their servers has got a very sensible business case, because if they will be obtaining those licenses through ECI, they will pay approximately 20% less. Upselling from Windows Server with software assurance to ECI is relatively simple, from right to left. As compared to Windows Server Standard, the additional cost of management by means of System Center and security by means of Forefront is just 34%. In the middle, the additional cost of managing a Windows Server Enterprise with SMSE and securing it by means of Forefront is a mere 16%. And on the left hand side, the additional cost of managing Windows Server Data Center with SMSD and securing it with Forefront is a mere 10%. Do remember, though, that the starting point is that the customer considers obtaining Windows Server with software assurance. The level of flexibility is very high. Customers do have the ability to create a mix of Data Center, Enterprise and Standard editions. Also, they do have the opportunity to migrate from Windows Server to ECI or from Windows Server plus System Center to ECI. Customers do also have the ability to move to ECI at any point in time. The most logical starting point, however, is an enterprise agreement for their clients. Now it's time to take a look at the program details of ECI. The threshold for ECI is 50 processor licenses across the board. So what you do is you sit down with a customer, you take a look at their servers, you count the number of processors across those servers, and as long as the total number of processors is 50 or more, they do qualify for ECI. However, SYS Enterprise and SYS Data Center do have a 2-processor minimum. Also, customers do have the opportunity to obtain SYS Standard for servers with multiple processors, but from a pricing perspective, this is not just a good idea, because the total price will be higher than it would be if the customer would obtain the individual components. So on a single processor server, sys standard makes a lot of sense, but if you want to obtain it for a larger server, we would recommend that you either use another volume licensing agreement such as the Enterprise Agreement or Select Plus, or instead choose sys Enterprise or sys Data Center, which simply gives more value for money. So let's zero in on the contents of those three sys suites. From top to bottom, the sys standard suite is meant for servers with one processor and up to one virtual machine. It is based on Windows Server Standard Edition, includes forefront client security, and includes standard server management licenses for 3 System Center products. Those System Center products are System Center Operations Manager or SCOM, System Center Configuration Manager or SCCM, and System Center Data Protection Manager or SCDPM. The sys Enterprise suite is based on Windows Server Enterprise, and as such it includes the right for up to 4 virtual machines. As compared to sys standard, it does add the server management licenses for System Center Service Manager and System Center Virtual Machine Manager. Also, these customers will receive a license grant for Opalis, which is management software that we recently acquired. As compared to the sys standard suite, a key advantage of the sys Enterprise suite is the fact that it comes with enterprise server management licenses, whereas sys standard comes with standard server management licenses. An enterprise server management license does allow the customer to manage any kind of workload, including applications, whereas a standard server management license may only be used for managing basic operating system workloads, such as file and print servers. Sys Data Center is meant for customers who do have a server with 2 or more processors and with more than 4 virtual machines. It is based on Windows Server Data Center Edition, and it includes unlimited management rights using System Center, whereas the Enterprise Suite is limited to the right to manage up to 4 copies of Windows Server. Again, as compared to the price of the individual components, these bundles offer a 20% price advantage. ECI is looking after server licenses. It is not providing any licenses for the customer's clients. For the customer's clients, he can use any other kind of volume licensing agreement, such as an enterprise agreement, an enterprise subscription agreement, or Microsoft Select Plus. As such, this is a logical add-on for ECI. I hope that in these few minutes I have given you a gist of what ECI is all about. If you do need additional details, make sure that you visit http ECI on the intranet. And if you do have a detailed question about ECI, either make use of Community Central or send an email to the group alias AskECI. Again, do visit http ECI, where you will find a wealth of information, including a copy of this presentation without narration. Thank you very much for attending.